Level 1, the Informant. You are not KGB. You are a tool of the KGB. A civilian who has been recruited, willingly or not, to report on your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends, your family. Maybe they approached you with an offer, extra rations, a better apartment, a promotion at work, a slot for your child at a good university. Maybe they approached you with a threat. We know about your black market dealings, your forbidden books, your cousin who defected, your affair with the married woman in apartment 4B. Either way, you said yes. Now you attend the same meetings, drink at the same bars, live the same life as before, but everything is different. You listen differently. You remember names, dates, complaints, who said what about the party, who listened to foreign radio broadcasts when they thought no one could hear, who made a joke about the general secretary after too many vodkas, who complained about the empty shelves at the grocery store. Once a week, you meet your handler in a park or a cafe or a bench near the train station. You pass a folded note or whisper a report. You feel sick every time. These are people you've known for years. Your childhood friend, your brother-in-law, the old woman who brings you soup when you're sick. But you tell yourself it's necessary. You tell yourself you're protecting the state from enemies who would destroy everything you know. You tell yourself they would do the same to you, and honestly, they probably would. The KGB has millions of informants, perhaps 1 in every 50 Soviet citizens. You are one grain of sand on a vast beach. If you stop being useful, you become disposable. If you become a liability, if you start asking questions or showing hesitation, you disappear. You have no protection, no status, no future in this organization. You are a listening device that happens to have a heartbeat. And the worst part is you'll never know if your reports actually matter or if they just disappear into filing cabinets that no one ever opens. Level 2, the surveillance technician. You have been recruited into the KGB proper, but you will never see a spy or catch a traitor. You sit in a basement room wearing headphones, listening to wiretapped phone calls for 8 hours a day. The room is cramped and poorly ventilated. The equipment hums constantly. You drink endless cups of tea to stay awake. Or maybe you maintain the hidden microphones in hotel rooms, apartments, and offices across Moscow and every major Soviet city. You crawl through walls and ceilings, installing bugs the size of your thumbnail, running wires to listening posts that operate around the clock. Or you develop photographs taken by hidden cameras, thousands of images of people who don't know they're being watched. Their private moments frozen on film for strangers to examine. The scale of Soviet surveillance is almost incomprehensible to outsiders. Every major hotel has a dedicated listening post. The in-tourist hotels where foreigners stay have cameras in the bedrooms, microphones in the walls, staff who report every conversation they overhear. Every foreign embassy is riddled with bugs that took years to install. The KGB has entire buildings filled with people like you, technicians who process the raw material of state paranoia. You never learn what happens with the information you collect. You flag suspicious conversations and pass them up the chain. Someone else decides who gets investigated, who gets arrested, who gets sent to the camps, who gets a midnight visit from men who don't show identification. You are a cog in a machine so large you can't see its edges. The work is monotonous and soul-crushing. You hear people's private moments, their arguments with their spouses, their confessions to their lovers, their whispered prayers, their weeping in the dark. After a few years, nothing surprises you. After a few more, nothing moves you. You have become numb to human privacy because your job requires you to violate it constantly. Sometimes you wonder if someone is listening to you. Level 3, the Junior Operative. You have completed your training at the Red Banner Institute, the KGB academy where future officers learn their craft. 3 years of intensive study, languages, English, German, French, whatever the state decides you need. Tradecraft, dead drops, brush passes, surveillance detection routes, hand-to-hand combat, and firearms. Ideology, endless ideology, Marxism-Leninism, until you can recite it in your sleep. You learned how to follow someone for hours without being noticed, how to vary your appearance and your gait and your patterns. You learned how to open a locked door with a pick set or a credit card. You learned how to recruit an asset by identifying their vulnerabilities and exploiting them with precision. You learned how to resist interrogation, how to hold on to your cover story even when they deprive you of sleep and food and dignity. Now you are assigned to a directorate and given your first real tasks. Maybe you work in domestic counterintelligence, monitoring suspected dissidents and foreign sympathizers within the Soviet Union. You follow them to their meetings. You photograph them with their contacts. You compile dossiers that grow thicker every month. Maybe you work in foreign intelligence, preparing for an eventual posting abroad, learning the target country's culture and customs and weaknesses. Either way, you are the lowest rung of the operational ladder. You spend your days doing legwork for senior officers. You conduct preliminary surveillance on targets. You write reports that someone else will read and act upon. You attend endless meetings where party loyalty is performed as ritual. The competition is fierce. Everyone wants to rise, and there are limited seats at the table. You learn quickly that success in the KGB requires more than competence. It requires political instincts, the right patrons, and a willingness to do whatever is asked without hesitation or visible discomfort. You also learn that failure is catastrophic. A botched operation doesn't just end your career, it can end your freedom or your life. The KGB does not forgive. Level 4, the case officer. You have proven yourself. You did the surveillance without being spotted. You wrote the reports without asking questions. You showed initiative, but not too much initiative. Now you run agents. This is the core of intelligence work, the human relationships that produce the secrets that matter. Machines can intercept communications. Satellites can photograph military bases. But only human beings can tell you what the enemy is thinking, what they're planning, what they fear. Your agents might be Soviet citizens reporting on their institutions, factory managers who know the real production numbers, scientists who know the real state of Soviet research, military officers who know the real readiness of their units. Or they might be foreigners who have been recruited through ideology, money, blackmail, or ego. The ideologues believe in communism and want to help the revolution. The mercenaries want cash and don't care where it comes from. The compromised have secrets they'll do anything to protect. The egotists want to feel important, want to believe they're players in the great game. You meet them in safe houses, in parks, in the back rooms of restaurants, in hotel rooms in third countries. You build trust slowly, carefully, over months and years. You become their confessor, their friend, their handler. You remember their birthdays. You ask about their children. You listen to their problems, you learn their weaknesses, and you exploit them. But you do it with a smile, with sympathy, with the warmth of someone who genuinely cares. A good case officer makes his agents feel valued, important, protected. A great case officer makes them forget they're committing treason. You are responsible for your agent's security. If they are caught, you have failed. If they are caught because of your mistake, because you were sloppy with a dead drop or careless with a meeting, your career is over, and theirs is too, in the most permanent way possible. You develop a paranoia that never fully goes away, even years later, even after you've left the service. Level 5, the interrogator. You work in Lefortovo prison, the KGB's primary detention facility in Moscow. The cells are underground, the walls are thick, and the screams don't carry to the street above. Your job is to break people. Not physically, not usually, not anymore. The methods have evolved since Stalin's time. Now you use psychology, isolation, sleep deprivation, disorientation. You control every aspect of your subject's environment. When they sleep, when they eat, when they see light. You alternate between kindness and cruelty, sympathy and threats. You make them believe you already know everything, that their silence is pointless. You make them believe their friends have betrayed them, their family has abandoned them, their cause has failed. You give them hope and then you take it away. You offer deals you have no intention of keeping. You are a craftsman of despair. Most subjects break eventually. The human mind is not built to withstand unlimited pressure applied by people who have been trained to find every crack. You've seen strong men weep like children. You've seen true believers renounce everything they held sacred. You've seen innocent people confess to crimes they didn't commit because confession was the only way to make the pain stop. Some of your colleagues enjoy this work. You've learned not to. The ones who enjoy it become sloppy, become cruel for cruelty's sake, and cruelty without purpose is unprofessional. You are clinical. You are effective. You are the reason people fear the KGB, not the analysts or the surveillance technicians, but you. Level 6, the Rezident. You have been posted abroad as the chief of a KGB station, known as a Rezidentura. You operate under diplomatic cover, officially listed as a cultural attaché or trade representative at the Soviet embassy. Your real job is to run all KGB operations in your host country. You manage a team of case officers, each running their own agents, each producing intelligence that you synthesize and transmit to Moscow Center. You direct recruitment efforts against foreign officials, scientists, military officers, and journalists. You identify targets, approve approaches, allocate resources. You coordinate with Moscow Center, receiving orders through encrypted channels and sending intelligence back through the same. Your Rezidentura is a fortress within the embassy, with its own communications equipment, its own security protocols, its own secrets that even the ambassador doesn't know. The ambassador is a diplomat. You are something else. You live a double life that never stops. You attend diplomatic functions and cocktail parties, making small talk with people you're trying to assess as potential recruits. Meanwhile, you're running agents who could start wars if exposed, stealing secrets that could shift the balance of power between nations. The host country's counterintelligence service is watching you constantly. They know who you are. Everyone knows who the KGB resident is. They follow you. They try to identify your agents, to catch you at meetings, to turn your people into double agents. It's a chess game played in real time, and the stakes are careers, lives, and the balance of global power. If you succeed spectacularly, you return to Moscow as a hero with a future at the highest levels. If you succeed adequately, you get another posting. If you fail, you return in disgrace. If you return at all. Level 7, the illegals handler. You work with the most valuable and vulnerable assets in Soviet intelligence, the illegals. These are KGB officers who live abroad under deep cover, with false identities, fake biographies, fabricated personal histories, and no diplomatic protection whatsoever. They might pose as German businessmen who emigrated years ago, American academics born to immigrant parents, British engineers with unremarkable backgrounds. They spend years, sometimes decades, building legends so complete that even their neighbors, their friends, their lovers don't suspect. They marry foreigners, have children who don't know their parents' true nationality, build lives that are entirely fictional but completely real. If they're caught, the Soviet Union will deny any knowledge of them. They will be tried as spies and imprisoned or executed, and Moscow will not lift a finger to save them publicly. Your job is to support these ghosts. You communicate with them through dead drops in parks, coded radio transmissions at specific times, coded messages and newspaper classifieds, and occasional face-to-face meetings in third countries. You provide them with money, equipment, and instructions. You relay their intelligence back to Moscow. You are their only connection to home, their only reminder that their sacrifice matters, and they are entirely dependent on you. The illegals program is the crown jewel of Soviet intelligence. These are the agents who can go where diplomats cannot, who can access secrets that are beyond the reach of any embassy. Running them requires patience, discipline, and an ability to think in decades rather than months. Some illegals spend 20 years in place before they're activated for a critical mission. You have to maintain their morale, their training, their cover across all those years. It's the longest game in intelligence. Level 8, the Counterintelligence Chief. You hunt spies. Not foreign spies in other countries, but traitors within your own ranks. The KGB is obsessed with the idea that it has been penetrated by Western intelligence services, and historically, that obsession has been justified. Your job is to find the moles. You investigate your own colleagues, people you trained with, people you've known for decades. You analyze their finances, looking for unexplained wealth. You examine their relationships, looking for suspicious contacts. You study their travel patterns, looking for unscheduled stops. You look for anomalies, signs that someone is living beyond their means or meeting people they shouldn't meet, or showing interest in operations outside their compartment. You run double agent operations, dangling false intelligence to see who bites. You set traps with information that only a mole would know, then wait to see if it surfaces in the West. You interrogate suspects using techniques that leave no marks, but break minds. The paranoia is justified. The CIA and MI6 have recruited KGB officers before. Oleg Penkovsky gave the West some of the Soviet Union's most closely guarded military secrets. Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen flowed the other way, but that's small comfort. The damage a single traitor can do is incalculable. One mole in the right position can compromise entire networks, get agents killed, set back operations by years. But the paranoia is also a weapon. Accusing someone of being a spy is an easy way to eliminate a rival, to settle a grudge, to advance your own career over their ruined one. The Counterintelligence Directorate is feared by everyone, including other KGB officers. You have the power to destroy careers and lives with an investigation, even if it never produces evidence. That power makes you dangerous, and everyone knows it. Level 9, the Directorate Chief. You run one of the KGB's major directorates, the organizational divisions that handle different aspects of intelligence work. Perhaps you lead the first Chief Directorate, responsible for foreign intelligence operations worldwide, the sexy work of stealing secrets from adversaries. Perhaps you lead the second Chief Directorate, handling domestic counterintelligence, protecting the Soviet Union from foreign spies and internal subversion. Perhaps you lead the fifth Directorate, which monitors and suppresses political dissent, the ugly work that keeps the party in power. Each directorate is a massive bureaucracy, with thousands of officers, its own budget in the hundreds of millions of rubles, its own priorities, and its own internal politics as vicious as anything in the Kremlin. You report directly to the KGB chairman and the Central Committee. You attend meetings where the future of Soviet intelligence is decided, where operations are approved or killed, where careers are made or destroyed with a single comment. You have access to secrets that would shake the world if revealed, but you are also a target. Other directorate chiefs compete with you for resources and influence. Every success you have threatens them. Every failure you have gives them ammunition. The party leadership watches you for any sign of disloyalty or incompetence or excessive ambition. Failure at this level doesn't mean demotion. It means disgrace, exile to a meaningless post in some frozen backwater, possibly death if you've made the wrong enemies. You have climbed to the heights of Soviet power, and the air is thin and cold and full of knives. Level 10. The Deputy Chairman. You are one of a handful of men who run the KGB on a daily basis. The chairman sets policy and represents the organization to the party leadership. You implement that policy. You coordinate between directorates, resolving the territorial disputes and resource conflicts that are constant in any large bureaucracy. You make decisions that affect operations from Berlin to Beijing, from the streets of New York to the jungles of Southeast Asia. Your days are filled with briefings, meetings, and paperwork, an endless river of documents that require your signature or your attention. Intelligence reports cross your desk, raw information from agents around the world, and you decide which ones reach the chairman and which ones don't. That filtering is a form of power that few understand. You can shape what the leadership believes about the world simply by choosing what they see. Highlight a threat, and resources flow to counter it. Downplay a threat, and it's ignored until it's too late. You are also responsible for the KGB's relationship with other Soviet institutions, the military, the foreign ministry, the party apparatus, the other security services. These relationships are complex and often hostile. Everyone wants intelligence, but no one wants the KGB to become too powerful. You navigate this maze of competing interests while protecting your organization and your position. At this level, survival is an achievement. Thriving requires a combination of ruthlessness, cunning, and luck that few possess. Level 11, the chairman. You are the head of the Committee for State Security, the most powerful intelligence organization in the world. You control an empire of spies, assassins, analysts, and enforcers that spans the globe. You command a budget in the billions, personnel in the hundreds of thousands, operations in every country on Earth. You report directly to the General Secretary of the Communist Party, and in practice, you are one of the most powerful people in the Soviet Union. Your predecessors have included some of the most feared men in Russian history. Lavrentiy Beria, who ran Stalin's terror apparatus and was shot in a basement when he became too dangerous. Yuri Andropov, who would go on to lead the entire country as General Secretary. The KGB chairman is not just an intelligence officer. He is a political figure whose influence extends far beyond espionage. You attend Politburo meetings, you advise on foreign policy, domestic security, economic planning. You have files on everyone, including the men who theoretically outrank you. You know their secrets, their vices, their vulnerabilities. That knowledge is power, and everyone knows you have it. But the position is also a trap. You are visible in a system that punishes visibility. If the leadership changes, you may change with it, quietly removed or violently purged depending on circumstances. If an operation goes catastrophically wrong, you will be blamed. If the KGB is perceived as too powerful, you will be cut down. You sit at the apex of Soviet intelligence, but the apex is a knife's edge. Level 12, the eternal state. You have transcended the KGB itself. You are the system, the network, the invisible architecture that endures, regardless of who sits in the chairman's office. The KGB is more than an intelligence agency. It is the immune system of the communist state, detecting and eliminating threats to the party's power before they can metastasize. It is the nervous system, sensing the mood of the population and reporting it upward, telling the leaders what the people really think when they're not being watched. It is the circulatory system, moving money, people, and influence where they need to go. Without the KGB, the Soviet Union could not function. The economy depends on suppressing knowledge of its failures. The political system depends on eliminating challenges before they grow. The military depends on knowing what the enemy is doing. You are the architecture of control that makes the impossible possible. And when the Soviet Union finally collapses, you will not disappear. You cannot disappear. The men trained in KGB methods will scatter into the new Russia, into business, into politics, into organized crime. The networks will survive. The techniques will survive. Decades later, a former KGB officer will sit in the Kremlin and remake Russia in the image of the organization that raised him. The state may fall, but the shadow state endures. The KGB is eternal.